Get ready for another attack. We're going in, discrediting the globalists, the fake news media, the foreign mega banks that have hijacked the country. I was talking to some pretty heavy hitters today about what's happening in D.C. and what's happening in Silicon Valley and happening in other areas of the nation, and how the big banks behind the scenes openly are rooting to stop Trump and to shut down our infrastructure and to deindustrialize America. And then one of the astute people I was talking to, a very successful woman, very smart lady, who of course won't say her name, pointed out that that's what people can't stand anymore in the halls of power, is just the hatred of America. And it makes people who've never even really been political go, why do you hate America so bad? Why do you want to make everybody poor? Why do you root against the country? And this lady pointed out, she said, I listen all the time, but I noticed you didn't talk about this a few weeks ago, and you really should. And that's the fact that Goldman Sachs head, who's never tweeted, suddenly has started going active with 5 tweets, Lloyd Blankfein, who, if Hillary was president, Lloyd Blankfein would be president. Goldman Sachs is the most powerful institution in the world. It's the top of the pyramid. Right under that's J.P. Morgan. But it's the same group, basically. J.P. Morgan's British intelligence. At least that's what founded it. Goldman Sachs is a consortium of New York socialists and others that got together openly over 100 years ago and said they were going to take over banking. But I was reading his tweets where he makes fun of Trump and makes fun of Trump trying to reboot American infrastructure and says China's is incredible. It's much better than ours. And I just got back from there. And you're going to fail, basically. Arrived in China, as always, impressed by condition of airport roads, cell service, except U.S. needs to invest in infrastructure to keep up. Then he makes a joke to Trump, oh, how's infrastructure going for you there? Ha ha. Because the globalists have intended to sell us out to China and leverage us out. And that's why they don't want us to have cheap energy. That's why they don't want us to have factory jobs. That's why, because the globalists hate America. Hollywood hates America. And people are sick of it. And then you've got the leftist throngs on the street who are the most illiberal, anti-liberal people on the planet. These definitions mean nothing. They want control. They want to say what words you can use. They want to totally tax. They want people poor. The WikiLeaks are just full of the Democrat leaders talking about keeping the public in the dark and desperate and hopeless. Sounds like serial killers, you know, they've got kids locked up or something. And they're panicking because despite everything they've thrown at Trump and, you know, removing in the sample 9 to 15 points against him, he's got a 50% in the major Gallup poll. Means he's more like 60, 65. And they are scared. They're throwing everything they've got, and it's failing. So here comes the conspiracy theory. Oh, it's not Russia collusion. No, the president obstructed justice, even though in the unitary executive he could basically do whatever he wanted because he's only responsible to the voters. And Alan Dershowitz, a Democrat, is clear on that. As long as he's not involved in sedition against the country. And then, of course, the Comey memo didn't have Trump in it obstructing. But see, they don't care. They're going to continue, and they're hiring an army of lawyers, all of them basically Democrat operatives, as the deep state prepares to try to bring down our president. They are the usurpers. They are the hijackers. And there's a battle over the wheel, controlling the ship of state with the foreign outside globalists that openly have deindustrialized this nation to make us poor and to be able to control us and put us on welfare and run our lives. And they write white papers and textbooks on it, Cloward and Piven. They admit the whole thing. And then they come with their conspiracy theory that I'm commanding the Russians now. Remember Hillary 2 weeks ago? She said, oh, the Russians, they couldn't come up with this on their own. There's groups here in America that create the talking points, InfoWars, and then Putin has the bots attack, and then coordinated InfoWars then releases the information. Wow, lady. And you know what? In a way, it's true. Because I am creating the talking points, but I didn't invent them. I just dug them up out of the ash heap of history that you thought was, long gone and defeated. Classic Renaissance, classic Americana. And it's so sexy compared to what you're selling, austerity and race war and garbage and shooting cops in the back of the head and bringing in illegals by the millions and not even testing them for diseases when it hurts them and us. I mean, you are a bunch of selfish, evil people that think being monsters is an art form and have convinced yourself because you hijacked our banking system and hijacked our industry and sold it out to parlay your power into global government. But now the world knows about your corporate world government and your carbon taxes, and everyone's starting to resist it, and your problems are going to get bigger and bigger by the minute. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle now. As Peter Thiel said, the tide of globalism is going out. You are swimming against the tide of history. There is a tide in the affairs of men. When taken at the flood leads on to fortune, Julius Caesar. Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. And you see how they root against America in the New York Times and the Daily Beast saying, and the worst thing Alex Jones did is he put out a fake clip of Comey saying that the president never tried to influence him or nobody else did, and it's fake, and then the stock market went up. We had it declining, and it went up, and we called the head of the NY stock market, and they said it was Jones. It was a clip he sent out, and it was fake. And these savages are so crazy, so out of control, that have hijacked this nation that they think you're so stupid, they put out transcripts of what we aired and said it was fake. That's bold. And they say I'm fake news because they take the fact that we have wide discussions. When my listeners almost lynched me when the Sandy Hook shootings took place because I didn't immediately jump on it and say it was a false flag. When we see evidence of false flag, we cover it. Was the media ready? Did they pounce on it? Did they blame gun owners? That's outrageous. To blame our veterans that have fought for the Second Amendment and citizens and say that we're at fault for some Prozac head with a semi-automatic rifle reportedly going and shooting people. And then all the anomalies and the babies in the incubators being killed to take us to war and all the other fake things media's done. Of course people question that. Of course we question a government that's engaged in hoax after hoax after hoax. But that doesn't mean we hate people that have lost children in mass shootings once they're investigated. Now some of the families, I guess, it's really, I think it's more like a law firm, the Democratic Party, is saying they want to sue Megyn Kelly for interviewing me, that I'm so evil. You can interview Jeffrey Dahmer. You can interview Adolf Hitler in Time magazine. You can interview Saddam Hussein, but you don't interview Alex Jones. And why is that? Because they fear us so much that they don't want people to even see me, so they might actually come hear what I actually have to say. But what a joke. We don't need the platform of this show. This firestorm is 100 times bigger, 200 times than the show. And they meant to destroy us and set a precedent to go after free speech and say, there's the Alex Jones standard, and it's so bad that, it's just speech that is illegal. And then they build a straw man of what I've said so they can crucify me on lies. And remember, when they can crucify me politically, they can crucify you. And that's what this is all about. It's about destroying Trump. It's about destroying Americana. It's about destroying the American reboot that's here and happening now. Prosperity versus austerity. Freedom versus slavery. And the choice is up to you. I'm not one that really hypes things up. I always just start giving you the news right up front. But we will be at the bottom of the hour, skipping the 50 break for stations out there. That's a network break, so nobody should play their ads there. We're going to air the 27-minute piece that Rob Dew put together of just part of phone calls with Megyn Kelly. And then, yes, we do have the interview. We do have at least one portion of it, the 2 hours almost. They interviewed me at some house in the Texas Hill Country, some CIA substation. And I'm not joking when I say that. It was just spook central. This is a total deep state operation against myself, against Trump. It's a level of propaganda rollout like you see before a major war, because it is a war. It's a war on America. It's a war on you. It's a war on prosperity. It's a war on freedom. It is a war to promote racism and division. They're all over the news saying, yes, it is a civil war. Hashtag hunt Republicans. And top Democratic strategists are saying, let's go. Let's start killing. And they believe we're all going to roll over to their political correctness. Wolf Blitzer, has Gaston going, he wasn't evil. He was just upset. Well, Blitzer's like, yep, nodding with the guy. Yeah, that's right, yeah. We'll shoot that congressman still fighting for his life, shoot a couple cops, shoot some other people. Just your opinion. Yeah, okay. They're the ones calling for violence, then they turn around and say that, it's almost like I killed the kids at Newtown. I killed the kids in Iraq. I'm the reason kids are coming across from Mexico with tuberculosis and leprosy. Hell, didn't you know there's a new name for Satan? It's Alexander Emmerich Jones, the name of the devil himself. According to the fake media that lied to you about WMDs and the millions of dead Iraqis swallowed into oblivion and turned over to radical Islamists because people like Tom Brokaw assisted in the lie that led to the mass murder. That swallower of millions of souls, that cheerleader of death, calls me a, quote, total racist. No, Tom Brokaw, you have been reporting fake news since the Hindenburg.
In ancient times, man roamed the earth in a constant state of hunting or being hunted. Introducing Caveman, where cutting-edge science meets ancient super nutrients. Secure your bottle right now at InfoWarsStore.com.